Hi, welcome to Travel with Abby and Megan. I'm your host, Abby Gray, and we are thrilled to be here tonight.
And I'm Megan Buteau, the other half of Travel with Abby and Megan. It's a business that was born out of Abby's culinary adventures and my cultural curiosities. Together we lead small, intimate boutique tours around the world. And today we're headed to Marrakesh, right, Abby?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Marrakesh is a vibrant, gorgeous city in the Kingdom of Morocco. It is the fourth largest city.
That's right. It's the capital of the mid-southwestern region of Morocco.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because Fez is the capital of the country, correct?
So, yes.
Okay. And then Marrakesh is also vibrant in color. It is known as the Red City. It's vibrant because of the gorgeous souks, the beautiful tile, the carpets, all the things we're going to tell you about in today's episode, right?
That's right. As Abby mentioned, it's known as the Red City based on the red sandstone that was used to build many of the buildings around Marrakesh. And you'll see those in several of our pictures. Marrakesh also originates from the Berber word meaning land of God. So there's many exciting things to explore in and around Marrakesh. We can't wait to show you.
And I believe later in the show we're going to talk about carpets, but are they known as Berber carpets?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, so we'll get back to that because I love Berber carpets. All right, while we tell you a little bit about getting there, I'm just going to cut the chicken for our recipe just so you all know. Today we're going to make a tagine, and I'll go into this later, but we're going to make a chicken tagine with almonds and apricots. And I'm going to cut up the chicken while we talk a little bit about how to get there and time of year and things like that, just so we don't lose too much time.
That sounds delicious.
And then we're going to marinate it, but I'll tell you about that, like I said. So we're headed to Marrakesh, and getting there is pretty easy, actually. All the airports from Europe, you'd fly to London, you'd fly to London, Madrid, Italy, France, and then you can easily get flights to the Menara Marrakesh airport. They are also on the same time zone as Europe, so it makes it really easy. You don't really have too much jet lag, even though you seem like you're going so far away, but.
Right. That's great. Now, they are a Mediterranean climate and semi-arid, so there's lots of exotic plants and trees to be seen, but that also means that some great times of the year to visit are the shoulder seasons. So that would be March through May and September through November.
Yes. It's really hard to go into the desert in the middle of June, so you probably wouldn't want to go then. Also, the shoulder seasons offer really nice rates for hotels. And Marrakesh is a favorite of American filmmakers for films. They love the hotels and just the ambiance of the city. So some of the movies that have been filmed there are ones you may realize, like Sex and the City.
Right, Gladiator, you said.
Gladiator, Hideous Kinky, which I hadn't thought about in a long time.
Right.
Mission Impossible 5, and The Man Who Knew Too Much.
Well, that's exciting.
And all the hotels, or no, that's not true. The boutique hotels are really quite luxurious.
Right.
And not too expensive.
Right.
So it's good to kind of do your research and find out, do you want a big hotel? The Taj, which is a well-known brand, is a gorgeous luxury hotel.
Yeah, Marrakesh has many things to offer. So now we talked a little bit about the hotels, and the other thing I think we would recommend is that a guide is always a good idea, and a lot of this can be arranged either through where you're booking your travel or through the hotel.
Yeah, or if you come with us, we would make sure that we had a guide, because it's not that you have to worry about danger or you have to worry about anything. It's just that Marrakesh is very, very busy.
Very busy, lots of people, lots of things to take in.
You can get easily lost.
That's right. We had talked a little bit about the markets, the souks, and honestly, they're like mazes. So it kind of takes away a thing of worry while and leaves you just open to be able to explore and really take in all the sights and sounds that are to be seen in Marrakesh.
And like most markets, it's very hectic, and there are some things, like some stalls which you absolutely want to go to. Some are just junk. You wouldn't know the difference right away, and it would take you years to figure it out. So a guide is a good thing.
Right.
Also, you want a guide as well, because and we're going to talk about food and spices, but while there is so much good food in Morocco, you tend not to want to really eat the street food and in the restaurants around the square, because it's typical tourists.
Right.
And so they they're definitely not as well curated as some of the gorgeous
Right.
restaurants.
Which I think can be said about many places
Oh,
you
yeah.
travel to. That
Oh yeah, in
especially with
Italy,
our
you never
tours,
eat by the
right.
Colosseum. You
Right.
know,
We're
you
always
just-
looking for sort of the more intimate, more local experience, if you will. But that being said, the markets are definitely a sight to take in. And there's a couple, the Djima El Fana and the Jima El Fana, which are in fact on the Medinas, the squares are on UNESCO heritage sites. So they're really remarkable.
And you were saying that they weren't on the UNESCO heritage sites for their architecture, or they were?
Well, there's a lot of things that come into the designation for UNESCO Heritage Site, art and architecture, but also for the, I think, the atmosphere, if you will. It's the people gathering, people shopping. It's the whole experience in the markets that makes it something to be preserved. So.
Where else would we want to go? What else would we want to do in Marrakesh?
Yeah, there's so many different things. So we talked a little bit about the climate, which is great for exotic plants and trees, things like figs, banana plants, pomegranates, oranges are really plenty.
Oranges are like very popular in Morocco
Right.
because they have such a great climate to grow.
Yeah,
and they
fresh
make
pressed
fresh
juice.
pressed juice and
Yeah.
lots of orange in the recipes.
Yeah, exciting. So one of our favorite places is the Jardin Majorelle, which is actually a garden that was started by a French Orientalist artist, Jacques Majorelle. And he started in the early 1920s, and it's a little over 2.5 acres. It's one of the most popular places actually to visit in Marrakesh. And it is this garden of exotic plants and trees that can be found all over the world. And it's so beautiful that, in fact, Yves Saint Laurent
One of my favorite designers.
was so taken by it that he actually bought it in the early 80s.
Oh yeah, you're looking at that right now.
Right. It has many cacti you'll see and the palm trees. So just really, really amazing.
I think palm trees surprise people no matter where they
Yeah,
are. They don't
right.
necessarily assume that they're going to be
Right.
in Marrakesh.
And he used it for 3 decades for his sort of inspiration. And it was so beloved by him and his partner that when he passed away, his ashes are spread over the garden. So it's really
and
a
they lived there
remarkable place.
until he passed away in
They
2008.
did, yeah. There's this really interesting. You'll
It's
see
interesting.
it.
I always thought they were in France.
Yeah, you'll see it. One of our pictures. It's this bright blue cubist villa, so it's also really interesting. Another place that we really that's really remarkable is the Baha'i Palace, and it's a really well-preserved palace, Moroccan architecture. I believe,
Tiles inside.
the tiles inside
Yeah.
has over 150 rooms, including a harem room, and it's really well preserved and a really great example of the ornate Moroccan architecture. So that's a beautiful place.
So, and right in front of there, as you see, I think you can see on your screen, there's a bath. Is that correct?
Yeah, a bath fountain.
A bath fountain.
Yeah.
But in Morocco, we were learning
Right.
that the hammam, which is known as the bath,
Mm-hmm.
is very, very popular for relaxation. And one of the ways that they help you get over jet lag.
Yes.
But it's not for the modest because you have to strip down before you get in the bath.
Right. That's
Which
right.
surprises me actually because it's a Muslim country. So I was surprised that it's all about cleanliness and ritual to them.
Right, right. And I think another.
I don't know if I do that, and I'm pretty fun. I don't know.
Another signature architectural icon of Marrakesh, if you will, is the Ketouba Mosque. And that, in many of our pictures, you'll see is this beautiful tower. It's about 70 meters high. It is a mosque, so only Muslims may go in order to worship. And they, in fact, have a law where nothing can be built taller than this tower. And the word ketouba comes from booksellers. And because long time ago, when it was first built, it was a place where booksellers would gather to sell books. Over hundreds of booksellers would be there. Now today, you don't have the booksellers, but you do still have men selling nuts and trinkets and various things.
Things for the tourists.
Yeah, and while you can't go in if you're not Muslim, the gardens around the base of it are beautiful. Their cisterns, which if they're open, are really remarkable to see. And so there's still many, many sites to be taken in around it.
And they're called to worship five times a day.
That's right.
and you might not know the answer to this, but I meant to, when we were talking about doing the show, I was thinking, and I wanted to get the answer for our tour.
Yeah.
Are tourists allowed to, are things open during those prayer times?
don't
or are they
believe
not?
so.
No. So you have a lot
Right.
of downtime.
That's it, exactly.
Hence the gorgeous
you mean-
hotels.
I thought you meant the mosque.
No, no.
You know, that's a good question. I'm not sure of the answer to your
We'll
question.
try to, we'll
Right.
figure that out, but just
Right.
interesting.
Now, another great place to check out while you're there is the Sadian tombs. And now these are really remarkable. Also beautiful examples of ornate Moroccan architecture that incorporate, I think it's Italian marble, some beautiful stucco work.
Don't mean to do that in your face there, excuse me.
some beautiful carved wood, is that there are these tombs, and they were originally plotted out, I believe, in the early 1100s, but they were primarily used in the mid-1500s to 1600s. And over 66 tombs between the different mausoleums.
Okay.
And it was built by Sultan Al-Gahib Abdullah, and he constructed the first mausoleum to house his father.
And the sultans are the kings, right?
Right.
Okay.
And this
Because
sultan.
it's hard sometimes. There's kings and monarchs.
Right.
Monarchs rule, kings.
Right. Yeah. And currently there is a monarch of, as we talked about before, of
Morocco.
Of Morocco. Now he built this Mausoleum to contain the body of his father and the founder of the Sadian Empire, and
And you said that was in the 1500s?
so it was used primarily in the mid-1500s to 1600s, and it started with his father, but there's princes and people who were high-ranking, who held high-ranking positions in their reign.
Okay.
And they're buried throughout these extensive gardens. Now, the really interesting thing about these tombs is that after they were used, they sort of fell into, they became overgrown. Lots of cats and storks sort of used it.
People forgot about them?
People forgot about them.
I do like that there's lots of cats.
I know.
I like
Abby's a cat
cats.
person.
I'm a cat person and dog person. I love dogs. But the cats roam, not to interrupt you, but they roam around the city and they're really well fed and taken care of. So they
People
just
don't-
show up.
Yeah, people don't necessarily keep them as pets, but they do take care of them, I guess, on the streets.
Yeah, they feed them.
Yeah. So, so after the dynasty came to an end, it really became forgotten, and from the latter part of the 17th century to the early part of the 20th, and it wasn't until 1917 when it was discovered. There had been one opening that remained to a mosque, to a neighborhood mosque, and these tombs were discovered, and they're beautiful. Again, as I had mentioned earlier, some gorgeous examples of the Moroccan decorative architecture. So
And
they're
is
not
that
to be
brought
missed.
into their tiles? I understand that they do bring tile from Italy.
Yes, yep. So marble, Italian marble is in these tombs. There's
But
some
they're
ornate
designed.
wood carving.
Yeah.
As you can see on the picture, you see the marble in the columns.
Oh yeah,
And
and,
then
the
there's
gorgeous
the
tile on the
work.
side.
Yeah. So imagine all that for just hundreds of years, sort of waiting to be discovered.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me just tell you a little bit what I'm doing here. So we thought we'd cook. Morocco is also known, and specifically Marrakesh, for their amazing souks. And a souk is a place where you go. They're the markets, and there's just filled with spices and food, nuts, dried fruit, antiques, gorgeous fabric, rugs. But spices are really a huge part of the Moroccan culture. And what I'm cooking in is called a tagine. And many of these tagines are decorative. This is le creuset. But many of the tagines that you see in Morocco are clay.
I was just going to say, are they made out of clay?
They're made out of clay.
And so this one, because it's Le Creuset, is a coated cast iron,
Coated
right?
cast iron, but it has a ceramic top.
Oh,
And what
okay.
it does is the top, it doesn't let any of the steam out. So
Oh.
the juices from whatever you're cooking rise up, and the steam and the liquid comes down. So it kind of bastes it or
Yeah.
broils it, and not broils, bastes or it poaches
Poaches it,
food.
yeah. So I have to say, just for the viewers at home, you can't see. It looks like this is an opening here. It is open, but it is in fact closed up inside of the tagine. So as you said, it doesn't let out the steam.
It doesn't let out the steam. Now I'm told, I actually haven't seen one, but I'm told that some of them in Morocco and in Africa do have, they do let the steam escape, but I believe it's for very specific recipes. I actually don't know the way that you decide that over there, but something interesting to look into. So we're doing a chicken tagine with apricots and almonds, and it's almonds and apricots are gorgeous put together. They often tend to do something protein. They love lamb, chicken with sweet. So a lot of times with lamb, for instance, they do raisins and sultanas and even oranges, which is citrusy, but some of that sweet. And then with chicken, they tend to do things like the apricots and figs and other sweet fruit. But here, I have all these spices laid out because I use these spices all the time, and I probably have, I think there's 30 you should absolutely have in your pantry, but because I do everything, all kinds of cooking, I tend to have the regional spices from Morocco. A lot of them sometimes are mistaken for Indian because there's a lot of crossover in like cumin, turmeric, peppers, honey, for instance. But specific to Marrakesh, and here you see the spices, this is how they're sold. They're sold loosely.
So if we were walking through the markets, through the souk, this is how we would see it. It looks like also in that picture there's some nuts and perhaps some chili peppers. So
yeah, and you buy them, and then they put them in bags, which I have a bag that I can show you. But these are actually from India. Actually, a friend of mine went to India and brought me all kinds of spices. But they would put them in a bag, or you can bring your own jars, and then that's how you fill.
So you would purchase it by measurement.
You purchase by volume or weight.
Weight, yeah.
Depending on what it is. So the spices of Marrakesh are cumin, saffron. Saffron being, again, my friend brought me this actually from India as well in 2 different forms. And this, I believe, I just got, they brought me that from India too. So saffron is the most expensive spice in the world by weight. But it's used in almost all the tagines. Ginger is very popular. Ginger is great for you too because it's great for your joints and swelling, as is turmeric. Ras el hanout. It really means basically top shelf spices. So like in Indian cooking, garam masala is a specific spice mixture, but it really means the best of the best. So you would put in any of these, which they consider high-end, like fenugreek. People don't use that a lot around here, but it's a seed, it's an herb, it's an annual, it's grown annually. It has a lot of flavor, but it also possesses a lot of medicinal qualities.
Would you compare it to like a fennel type flavor?
No,
not at all. Oh, okay.
Not at all.
All right.
It's hard to describe because unless you taste it, I tried to think of something
like a comparison.
Yeah, a comparison. But just suffice it to say, it's important into the mixture. Sesame seeds, cinnamon. They love ground cinnamon, and they love. Let's see, what do I have here? I have cinnamon. Cinnamon somewhere. Oh, here's cinnamon. Okay, so here's cinnamon, and then cinnamon sticks. Now I just bought McCormick, but I also have some from abroad. And then you put these in to simmer in sauces. The cinnamon, the powdered cinnamon, is great for our dessert, which we just are doing sliced oranges with cinnamon. So that's really a good thing too. Okay, so let's get back to cooking because I have a feeling this is going to go faster than we think. So you see, we now have this gorgeous chicken that has been marinated in ground cinnamon, ginger, turmeric, and black pepper and salt. So also, when reading your recipes, we can provide the recipe to you, but when you read your recipes, you use your ingredients in the way they're listed. So usually if cinnamon's listed first, that's going to be one of the first ingredients. And so what we did is we created a little marinade for the chicken, including olive oil. And we added the cinnamon, ginger, turmeric, and black pepper and salt. and then the olive oil. And then we rub the chicken in that, and we're turning it into this gorgeous color.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it smells delicious.
Oh my
I wish
gosh,
it was
yeah.
smell-o-vision, right?
I know.
So
And
now,
it looks so moist, which must be from cooking it in the tagine.
yeah, and so that does a beautiful thing. And now what we, well, it does. It keeps it
Yeah.
moist, okay? A lot of times, this recipe didn't call for couscous or rice or anything. A lot of times you might put it over couscous simply because you don't want to lose any of that sauce. But what I'm going to do here is now it calls for half a red onion sliced thinly. I already, runaway onion. I already cleaned this at home, so I'm just taking off the outer layer and I'm just going to slice this. And it just calls for thin slices, so I'm just going to slice this and not dice it because they want it kind of those gorgeous rounds. And here you go, we can have a... So whenever you want your sauce to cool down a little bit, if you've got a hot burner like this, and you want to also, we want to soften the onions, you just add a little bit of water. Not tons, but you add a little bit because it'll help create the sauce and it'll evaporate and it won't take away from the flavor.
Good
So
idea.
Yeah, so we're just putting those in. And then I put in, I'm just going to grab this to grab a little bit more garlic. So it calls for a few cloves, and I just put in some very finely minced garlic in here. And that's just going to make that sauce even deeper and richer. We're going for depth. One of the restaurants, I always forget the name of it, but one of the restaurants in Marrakesh has a beautiful chef, Bahi Lafridi, and they wanted, it's in a hotel, it's in the Jane Tasma Hotel, and they wanted, he and the collaborator for the owner of the hotel wanted to create home cooking in a boutique hotel atmosphere. And it really is a world restaurant that doesn't get quite as much billing as it should. So it's somewhere to look up if you go. All right, now let's go back to our recipe. And while I'm getting things ready, should we talk about the rugs?
Yeah.
Okay.
So another thing we like to check out in the markets and the souks are the beautiful Moroccan rugs. And now many of them are the Berber carpets. And I'm sure you've seen various carpets like these around people's homes or in stores. And
This is from my home.
yeah, this is from Abby's home. And so, but what is really interesting is that what you look at and you just think, oh, it's a beautiful artistic pattern that's been put into these rugs, is that they actually hold, different meanings. And so oftentimes, we talked a little bit about how Marrakesh is a Mediterranean semi-arid climate, and it's sort of dwarfed by the Atlas Mountains, which are about an hour outside. So they talk about the Berbers would weave these thick carpets to put on walls and floors because the Atlas Mountains are snow-covered and in fact get quite cold. Or further in the more warmer climates, they would weave these into more shawl-type things, so a lighter weight. But they would use these different symbols on these rugs. And so a couple that we have seen in this carpet that Abby has, this Berber Moroccan carpet, is there's a couple different things. There's these seeds, which look kind of like a fertility symbol, or they look like seeds, but they are meaning a fertility symbol. There are some, what else did we said there? I'm looking at them now. There are the finger, which is a protective symbol, and that's sort of like a crosshatch grid. There's also a scissors, which is a symbol of metal workers, and it's treated with fearful respect and keeps away sort of evil.
Right?
Evil. Yeah. And then there's also some different ones which are the eye, which is a symbol of again, of protection. So a lot of them seem to either focus on protection or fertility, keeping them safe, bringing them good luck. There's also Again, here's looks like some more eyes and some more scissors. There's also, what was the one? There was also I have my little cheat sheet here for all the different
Well, there are
symbols.
some ones on there that aren't necessarily on our cheat sheet. But
Right.
Here's a good cheat sheet.
Yeah.
That's on your screen right now. The lion's paw.
Yeah, there's also was one on the rug, kind of up in the corner, which was, it looks like it's called a nose, and it represents the crow's beak, which is worn strung around a child's neck for protection. So like we said, a lot of them are symbols of protection. That's right there, the nose. So a lot of them kind of symbolize protection, keeping you safe from evil, bringing you prosperity in the forms of fertility.
The rugs
Yeah.
are really a buy. You shouldn't miss them when you go. But we have to
Oh, yeah.
kind of speed things up because, believe it or not, our 25 minutes goes very fast.
Flies by.
So while we were getting ready,
Yeah.
I cooked a mixture of apricots, water, honey. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Apricots, water, honey, and cinnamon stick. I'm just taking the cinnamon stick out. It really is super flavorful, and you cook them for about half an hour. And what that does,
Smells delicious.
it smells delicious, and it also allows the apricots to soften.
So would you say just enough water to cover it in your saucepan,
I
or
think
a little
it's
bit more?
like about a cup.
Okay.
And then you can always add more apricots if you want to. This recipe is really easy. I've kind of fast cooked it a little bit. I typically would let the flavors blend a little bit more.
Okay.
There'd be no reason not to. You'd put back on the top of your tagine and let that simmer for a little bit now. It's perfectly cooked, so you can eat it. It's just, it's so delicious if it gets to really
More
blend.
flavors and, yeah, poach in
And
the
then
liquid.
these are what I was telling you about, which are the oranges that have the cinnamon on them. And this is just a simple dessert, which you would have in Marrakesh, or you would have, I mean, it's lovely even here in the States because it's just healthy and delicious. Who knew, right? Just
Right.
a little cinnamon on oranges. Kids love it,
Yeah.
people love it.
Now, Abby, if some of the Bostonians here wanted to have a little taste of Morocco here in our very own Boston, what would you recommend?
Well, my favorite is Tangerinos in Charlestown, which
yes.
I love Samad. He's a great guy. He owns the restaurant. And I think he's doing some fusion now, but his tagines and his Moroccan food have always been absolutely fabulous. And then there's the Curio Spice Market, which is a beautiful spice shop over on Mass Ave.
In Cambridge, I think
In
it is?
Cambridge.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a great place to go for spices. And
Right.
if you want anything, like if you're cooking Indian, Moroccan, whatever. But if you want all these spices,
It's a great resource, and it's a beautiful shop.
it's a beautiful shop.
Yeah.
We're trying to run over there, but I don't know if we have time today.
I know. And we also wanted to give a shout out to the upcoming Boston Marathon.
Yeah.
I know I have a friend who's running it, so as long as I know, as well as many other people out there. And for all you marathoners, we also know there's an upcoming marathon in Marrakesh.
Yeah.
And when is that? That's in January?
That's January 26, 2020. And apparently it's a cool and very
And
well...
it's an amazing way to check out the city.
Yeah. So marathons are, they are great ways to check out a city, right? You're going to run 26 miles through Marrakesh.
Right. You can't go wrong.
Yeah. So thank you for being with us tonight.
Yeah.
We look forward to being with you again.
Right.
We are Travel with Abby and Megan. We're a boutique tour company taking you to the world. So thanks
right.
so much.
And a thank you to Cookie for
Oh,
having
yes.
us here today. So,
Yeah, thank you, Cookie.
bye.